Alright, so I tried playing Gladiabots, which is what my last two videos said I was going to be doing. And it has an interesting concept, this idea of using programs to make robots do what you want and try to win these matches, which have special rules as well. Sometimes there's capture the base, sometimes there's capture the data, I guess. But there's a problem. If your tutorial tells me to do something to perform a particular action, then I get to the main game, and that same action that the tutorial taught me does not work, I consider your tutorial to have failed, and that is exactly what happened. I got to the main game, I attempted to create my own AI, to create my own programs, write my own programs for the robots so that I could maybe get an edge on my opponents and not be stuck using the default AI programs. And so I did exactly what the game told me to in the tutorial to try and make my own program, and it did not give me the menu to make my own programs. It did not allow me to do it. So, in the end, so I played a match with the default AIs on them just to kind of feel like, oh, well, maybe I have to win something before I can do anything with it. And then the game popped up hey, you must log in with an existing account or create an account with us to continue playing this game. And I just decided, you know what, I'm done with this. We're done here. No more. No mas. So Gladiabots was a complete bust. So I moved on to the next game instead in order to get at least something for this week. But in the end, Gladiabots, not worth it. Just not a good game. I don't like it. Maybe other people who have it and have played it, maybe they had more success with it. Maybe I'm just missing something, but nah, I'm not going to put more effort into it. I'm moving on to the next one. Our second game, our actual game for the day, is Mewnbase, as in Moonbase, but Mew as in kitty. So there are cats involved. You are an adorable little cat in a spacesuit. You are attempting to survive 27 days on a desolate alien planet.
Freaking
you have limited food, limited resources, and you must survive. Although I must say, limited resources is maybe a bit of an overstatement, I should say. I played through the whole game. Blame the fact that I have Mondays off, so I could just play through the whole thing. I ended up with 3 hours of footage, and then I realized that about 10 minutes of it was actually entertaining. That's the problem with survival games, is that if it's difficult to make them compelling, I guess you could say. A lot of streams or YouTube channels that play survival games, there is the interaction with the person there, or they'll have multiple people playing the game, and there is the interaction between them, and that's really the draw at the end of it.
Back to base.
You don't watch a guy playing Subnautica just for him swimming around in this beautiful alien world and picking up stuff and being absolutely scared to death by the Reaper Leviathans. You watch a guy play Subnautica because, maybe you do. Subnautica's a bad example, but I don't know, Rust maybe? Rust would be a good example for that, if you remember that game, or 7 Days to Die. I just feel that survival games are very boring to watch, and they're very boring to commentate over, which I was silent for a lot of my gameplay, so that's why a whole lot of it is not all that great. And I was trying to talk as much as I could, but eventually I just kind of, over the next hour when I went back and I reviewed as much of the footage as I wanted to review, I realized that I was going to be cutting out entire hours worth of chunks, especially near the end.
Okay.
Where
Craft the research lab.
I'll get to that. This is basically a short review of Mewnbase at this point. So basically I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and review it as if I was doing my week in review, and I'll just cut this one from that Saturday episode. Most of the whole reason I have the week in review is because I can't play these games for very long. I do these videos kind of in the hours I have before work.
We get some oxygen, and then
but like I said, I have Mondays off, so I was able to play through this whole thing. There's a lot to Mewnbase. I keep pronouncing it that way, trying to pronounce it that way, but basic survival elements are quite good. Your hunger meter does not drop as fast as it might in other games, which I actually kind of prefer, because your meters tend to drop really quickly in other games, and I don't like that too much. It feels more like I'm babysitting more than I'm surviving. And a lot of the food items that you can get, as long as you do a little cooking, they will last you for quite some time. For example, the most basic item that you can get, you can take 3 of these plants. You can harvest these little green plants. And if you get 3 of them, you can go to a workbench and you can turn them into 2 bowls of what's called plant slop, which gives you a third of your hunger meter, and that will last you for several in-game hours, maybe even a full in-game day. If you get fruit, a root, and a plant, that almost rhymed there, that was weird, but fruit, root, and a plant, you can turn that into a hearty meal once you research the cooking part of the tech tree, and there's a tech tree, we'll get to that, and that will give you your entire hunger bar. You do have an oxygen meter that you have to worry about, and that's going to be your more pressing concern, and that at least makes sense. It also tends to deplete more than, say, the one in No Man's Sky, where you could just stand... I think if you were just standing still and it wasn't like an extreme planet, you could actually just walk normally and you'd never lose oxygen, I don't think. Let me take a drink real quick.
Maybe get some
Try myself out doing these.
Like that.
You also have a power meter, but that only matters if you're using your flashlight at night, which...
It seems like your entire...
I actually had to go back. I did not learn this until after I played the game, but there are world generation options that are quite interesting.
There's something
For example,
more to be done here?
You can set it so that it is always daylight. You can set it so that the nights are longer, or you have the default day night cycle.
I am a cat. I have a Mewnbase,
which significantly changes the game. You do have to worry about your base's power, which is far more significant than your suit power. So that's actually rather interesting, especially if you choose the always night option. There are solar panels, but obviously if it's always night, well, you're not going to do anything with it.
I explored south.
There is a tech tree that is advanced by researching artifacts, which are all various cat-related items, such as hairbrushes and balls of yarn and cat carriers and other things that are stereotypically related to
use them for biofuel.
There is even a cardboard box as one of the artifacts, and that is just the most important thing. A cat needs a cardboard box. The tech tree is very quick to advance, actually. Every artifact you research gives you 5 points. It doesn't matter what it is.
Some more fruit.
There is a full list that you can kit out, and randomly you can fill out the list with the research log, but I don't think there's any benefit.
Just keep going, I guess.
All of it, and it's a random chance whether or not you get all of them. Once you start getting more artifacts, you start realizing that, I'm starting to get duplicates in my research lab here, so it's kind of a collection. So if you like, going around and collecting things, that's something for you.
I know this is
but the tech can be about as advanced very quickly. You get 5 points, and most of the tech research requires some multiple of 5, obviously. Most requires 5, some requires 10, some 15.
Are like hyper efficient.
I think only the upgraded suit, costs 20.
All right.
The upgraded suit is a very good investment. It increases your oxygen meter by 50%, and also makes it so you don't you lose less hunger over time. So very good investment. Maybe not the first thing. I would recommend getting
food supply,
cooking, construction, and then tools, so that you can gather all the resources you need. The problem with resources and the problem with the game in general is that you very rapidly run out of things to do. There's no end goal aside from survive the 27 days.
Maybe I should have done construction.
The mission instructs you to do.
Then again, I'm going to be getting a lot of research.
And when it says 27 days, it means that the counter has to roll over to day 28 before you can leave. So you have to get to day 28 and then return to your lander, and then you can leave.
Here.
And that's the end of the game. That's it. You make it to day 28. You get back on the lander. You launch. You win. You win the game.
Okay.
So that's...
I need a shovel to pick this
it's
up.
interesting to actually have kind of like a definitive end goal. You're not just surviving for the sake of surviving.
Yay.
Going back to the Subnautica example, there was that definitive end goal you were working towards. Most survival games don't have that, so it's interesting that, there is actually some kind of goal you're working towards, even if that goal is just to survive this long. The problem with that is that it is very easy to reach a point where you have enough supplies that you basically don't have to worry anymore. You have enough power generation, you have enough food supply, you have enough whatever that you just don't have to worry anymore.
Some fruit.
I did spend the last 3 days just kind of sitting in my base, and I played a few rounds of Hearthstone while I was waiting, because I was just running down the clock.
This will probably let us actually
because I had completed the tech tree. Because I got bored and I went out and I got a bunch of artifacts. And
That's how we use it.
I researched enough that I had the entire tech tree.
You can't just fucking throw seeds into the dirt, dude. You need a garden patch.
I did get a buggy, and kind of rolling around on the surface of whatever planet we're on in that buggy is actually kind of fun. So there you go. There's also the problem that certain resources seem to run out of uses very quickly. For example, stone, I think...
Where's my base?
I swear I only use stone to make the in-game smelter so that I can make the metal pieces that I needed to build the rest of the stuff I wanted. And from there on out, I didn't need stone in the slightest.
I am a tiny bit lost.
The only reason I would go to go mine more rocks is in an effort to get radioactive ore, which allowed me to use nuclear power. But by the time I was seriously considering that, by the time I got to a point where I had actually learned how to use nuclear fuel...
Wait, no, I have a map.
It was like day 21, and I just didn't care anymore. So that's a bit of a problem, is that the end game gets very boring very quickly because you've learned everything. You set yourself up so that even if you don't have to scavenge very far to keep eating, or if you do, you have a very long range you can go before you have to worry because you've got that buggy, and you can even build trailers for it. I didn't build any trailers for it, but you can have like a storage chest behind your buggy that the buggy's towing. So that's another thing as well.
All right.
Yeah, it does get to that point where just
construction.
You don't really have much left to do.
Tool for breaking apart.
And you just
so we don't have
just
a
left
we have
with
a
time to do what you want, which I guess you can expand the base, you can do more, but like there is a kind of an ending score where like the days you survived, the artifacts you researched, how many of them you researched, I should say. But aside from that though, there's no combat, there's no environmental dangers really. There is like a windstorm that happens, and there's a lightning storm that can happen as well, but I never got hit by the lightning because I just never did. I was usually either inside my base or driving really fast in the buggy and staying away from where I saw the ground lighting up like lightning was going to hit it. And they never did. They never hit those spots. They would hit maybe something like 5 million miles away from me, basically. Like, for all intents and purposes, it may as well have been on the other side of the planet. Yeah, so I will say it did take me a while to realize that there were certain components
water supply.
For example, it took me until the end of the game to realize that to make electronics, there was just an option for it in the workbench. I didn't have to go always scavenging spare metal piles to try and find them, which is what I had been doing. Also, this is embarrassing, but I think it took me an entire hour to figure out how to make water. Which is as simple as go gather up the ice that's on the surface and then come melt it at the workbench. And that will allow you to grow things like food.
Make a hearty meal with everything.
Maybe not the best at telling players what all they can do, because the tutorial is very limited in what you can do and how much you can do. It does kind of open up into a full game at the end of it, where you can just keep on playing in this tutorial map that already has... a large base, a decently sized base, a solar panel and a biofuel generator already built for you, as well as a workbench. But if you play the new game and you don't realize that there's all this stuff that you could just make out of the gate, look at what you can make in the workbench before you start setting out, is what I'm saying here. That being said, it is apparently an early access game. It is on version 0.5, so a lot of the problems I'm complaining about could be fixed in later versions. Also, the game is only $6 on Steam, so for $6, I certainly would feel like if I had paid that, I certainly
so I need 3 metal plates.
Wouldn't have minded. For that's $2 an hour for entertainment, and Lord knows I've paid more for worse. So, Mewnbase, it gets a good thumbs up for me. I do think it's an enjoyable game.
Much more
I just don't think maybe it has as much staying power as other survival games may. But again, like I said, a lot of the problems that I have, where certain materials don't get much use, or the end game is just really boring, those could get fixed in future updates, so I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. It's a good game, and if there are significant changes or improvements later on, I'll come back and tell you guys. So, until next time, I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.
Dum-da-dum.